Parenting community, our past iShiner parents, our YF family, and to all our guests here with us, as we are gathered here today for the official launch of Promo Force iShine 7 Talent Camp. To lead us through an afternoon of new discoveries, learning, and fun activities, please welcome seasoned actress, TV host, doting mom, and advocate of healthy child care, Miss Dimples Romana.
Hello everybody! Magandang hapon po to all our dear parents and our children over here. Time flies so quickly, parang kahapon lang po, as when we experience the beauty and the discoveries of nurturing the gift through the Promo for iShine Talent Camp 6. And this time, here we are again to launch the I'm super excited because I'm sure you all are too. Welcome to the launch of the Promo for iShine Talent Camp 7 this 2019. What's really heartwarming to know is that since 2009, Promo for iShine continues to evolve in helping mothers nurture the gift of their children by providing experts in various fields who personally design the summer camps for your children. For this year, I am excited to share with you some exciting developments with Promo for iShine Talent Camp 7. Of course, these developments are all anchored on Promo For's belief that each child has a gift that needs to be nurtured to bring out the best in them. Promo's philosophy instills the importance of not only proper nutrition, but also proper parenting, care of our dear parents, of course, and guidance to fully support your child's proper growth and development. This is what the brand advocates with parents to help nurture the gift of their children. Furthermore, as parents, we always want to bring out the best in our children when we spot that he or she has gifts. Some of us know what to do, but some of us naman po, we're wondering, paano nga ba natin i-nurture ang gift ng ating mga anak? Joining us now to talk more about giftedness and the importance of documenting your child's journey and development is a well-respected clinical psychologist. She is an accredited clinical assessment and counseling psychologist who was a Templeton Fellow on Gifted Education at the Bell and Black Center, a state scholar at the Iowa University. She also attended the University of Sussex in England as part of a postdoctoral exchange program. Her academic achievements and her passionate pursuit of excellence led her to become the Dean of the UP College of Education, a member of the Board of Trustees of the Philippines Science High School representing the gifted sector. Ladies and gentlemen, please all welcome the President of the Philippine Center for Gifted Education, Dr. Leticia Cecilia Peñano Ho.
Mothers, fathers, do I see a father? Children, good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen who are interested in knowing more about the gifted, and more than that, what you can do if you should notice that there's a gift that your child has, or you know somebody who has a gift and would like to help. Because this is really the nurturing of the gifted is really a cooperative effort that has to be collaborative among different sectors of society. So, good afternoon, and I hope that we'll have a nice discussion of what you will do for your gifted child or potentially gifted child, okay? Now, if you have any piece of paper, then you can draw. Otherwise, just put in your mind that you have your juggler. He is Casper, the friendly ghost. So if you are Casper, the friendly ghost, and you are a parent of a potentially gifted child, now try to think of 3 important things that you would like to do, you would like to know, or you're not so clear about in the child who you think or who has been identified to be potentially gifted. So just 3. A few minutes, not 5 minutes, 2 minutes. So just 3 important things that you have. And those circles, if we had more time, you would have to fill up all the circles and we can discuss them. Then you have a very good research on what parents think about their gifted children and what makes them scared or what makes them happy. So ready? Ready? We'll just call on one or two. Anybody who would like to, a brave soul? Just give one. Why are you looking down? You know, in UP, when I teach graduate school, and I ask the question, they're all looking down. And I said, hey, I know I'm small, but I'm not that small. Right? So anyone? Come on.
Sorry, what's the natulala ko kay Mama.
What's the question? Three things that you have about your children or your child. Three things which can be your concern, the things that you want to know more, and the things you want to do. Now, not too much time, because they're going to ask you to stop talking, and you will be so beaten.
How can we... Okay. Since we're talking about gifted child, so paano namin madedetect? Ano yung mga parang signs that our child is gifted at paano namin siya matutulungan to enhance or ilabas siya?
Okay, so how do we know that our child is gifted? Because if you don't know, then you don't know what to develop. You don't develop what you do not know. That's very good. Another one. Yes, please.
Hello. Aren't all kids gifted?
Are all kids gifted?
Aren't they all
Are they gifted? Depends on what your definition of gifted is. But we'll not talk about that. So are all children gifted? That's the second question, or that's the second concern. What about the third row? Any mommy on the third row? Yes? Oh, okay. You had your hand raised.
What if you see that your child is gifted in something and you try to encourage them, but they're the ones who don't?
Okay, that is a very real question. What if you know that your child is a gift, or people have noticed the gift, but your child doesn't seem to be interested in developing it, which happens so many times. I'm sure that some of you feel the same way. Okay, so let's take a look at another thing. So these are the questions related to what you said. These are the questions that you need to reflect on when you talk about your child who is potentially gifted. We're talking about the age range where the gift is not yet manifested fully. So we call them potentially gifted. And the Philippine Association for the Gifted long time ago decided that we call those young children potentially gifted because they have a potential which we need to develop. And your children have potential which we need to develop. So what is your role as a parent? So that is a role. Like what I do. This is a gifted child, but my God is not even interested. He doesn't even know probably that he is gifted. That's one concern. Now, what are your uncertainties about it? What do I do? If I don't do anything, will my child lose the gift? So what is giftedness? That was what you asked. What is giftedness anyway? And then you have, what are you willing to do? The fact that you're here means that you're willing to do something. I don't know how much you're willing to do them. I don't know if you are already doing them. But today, we'd like to talk with you about one very complete or two very complete ways in which you can document the gift that your child possibly has. Okay? So, and ask the last question. It's my turn to ask. Do you remember the things that your child does or shows that show that he is or she is gifted? You remember everything? Yes. What do you do with what you remember? You just store them in your memory bank? And is your memory bank a very reliable memory bank? Or your bank is more reliable than your memory bank? Okay, whatever it is, let's take a look at what we will do. See, after identification, what? After identification formally, or probably after you say that, aha, I have a potentially gifted child because she pirouettes like anything and so fast like trumpo. Okay, so what do I do? Some are fearful, like I had a mommy, a daddy, a nanay from the very poor sector, and she had a child who graduated with honors in a science high school and who made it to MIT in the US. And then she said, Doktora, bakit ako nagkaroon ng gifted? Hindi naman ako gifted. Ako po'y labandera lang. Ang aking asawa ay tricycle driver. I said, ano po? Giftedness is genetic. All of a sudden, you love your child. Oh, it must have come from me. Okay, it is genetic. So some are fearful that they're not as smart. Probably you were never developed, probably nobody nurtured. Probably nobody invited you to attend a seminar on how do you nurture the gifted child. Or your parents were not invited. Some feel they do the wrong things and will stop their child's development to become a gifted adult. So the basic question is, when you have a young child, the question at the back of your mind that you don't ask is, how will this gifted child be when he grows up to be a gifted adult? Isn't that what you have in mind? My gifted child, will he be gifted when he is 18? Or is he going to be gifted while I'm around him? That's a basic question. So these are the questions that you have to ponder on. What is the gifted child grown up like? Because that's what you want to see them. Okay, early identification and intervention. Two things that you have to remember. Early identification and early intervention are very important, very, very crucial in young children. Now, the problem is, the process of identification with very young children is not that good in many instances. And this is where you can contribute a lot. I'm not saying that you become your child psychologist or your child's neurodevelopmentalist, but you can do something about it. Without environmental nurturing, some gifts and talents may be developed, may not be developed. They don't disappear. We oftentimes have programs like this for doctors. And so I ask them, how many of you would like to sing? And I see a lot of hands raised. And I said, are you singing now? Do you sing now? I said, no. Why? Because I went to medicine. So being in medicine meant that he had to stop his interest and talent in singing. So there are some priorities that take over. So, but environmental nurturing is very, very crucial, and that is what we're going to talk about. In the Philippines, I mentioned this earlier, we call them potentially gifted. They're so young. And there is such time that there is formal identification of the gift, or you have evidences that there is a gift. We talk about prodigies. These are the very, very brilliant ones who before they turn 17 already reached the maximum of the talent that they have. We have one, but we lost a chance to have him called the prodigy because our government called him back to the Philippines. He would have gone into the last competition in violin, and if he had won there, he would be the first Filipino prodigy in violin. The nature of giftedness better explored by viewing responses to enrichment activities. Now, sometimes you have checklists. And oftentimes when you go to the doctor, they have checklists. Okay, that's good. But there are more ways by which you can identify what is the gift. Is there a gift? And this is what we want to talk about, because these are the things that two parents can do. Okay? Now, observation, and this is the complete picture, a more complete picture of the child. Observation of behavior in diverse settings. For example, in class, the behavior in class of a child will be different than the behavior of the child at the playground, the behavior of the child in church. So diverse settings. Do not just document and observe the child in one setting, which is the time that you teach them at night or in the morning. Okay? Now, anecdotal information from parents, teachers, based on products. So what does the child do? What has the child done? Have you collected? How many of you here collect the works of your child? Higher. Good, good. Now we'll talk about what will you collect, how will you collect. Okay? Because I don't think that you will bring in all the things to your house, because one mother said, Anak, you stop bringing certificates, and you stop bringing plaques, and you stop bringing trophies. Your room is so full, and there's no more space. And this is true. He recently was nominated finalist in an international music contest in LA. And I hope he makes it. So, you don't bring all of those in. So the mother said, umala ka naman ng pera. And he is now making pala, because if he wins that, oh my goodness. Okay, take a look at what your child plays with. Now, what is giftedness? I'm so sorry, here I am again. A condition. It is a condition. So it's there, and then it may not be there. You nurture it, and it grows. You don't nurture it, it doesn't disappear. But you don't see it, but it's there. It becomes latent. Okay? Now, responsive biological and social environment, that's very important. The biological, because the pregnant mommy has good nutrition, the pregnant mommy who takes all the nutrients that can possibly take in to the development of the fetus, that they help a lot. Okay? So, social environment during the developmental period of life. Developmental period means after being born all the way. Now, social development, yes. What are the social influences that the gifted child, the potentially gifted child has? And how are you able to nurture? Because nurturing is part of that environment. Now, this one describes significantly above average profile. This definition, I made this definition because I was aware of the Philippine condition. And if you have very poor families, you will never see a high score. You will probably only see above average. But you will have to take a look at the current performance, which may be above average, but the future performance, which can zoom up to heaven. And you see that it takes nurturing to be able to pull them up. Because the nurturing is very limited in a family that is very, very poor, who cannot afford things that the child needs to have, etc., etc. So you have to take a look at future performance. And because the Philippines needs the gifted children to help, then I added that it's contingent upon the person's task commitment and attainments in adaptive behavior. A gifted child who cannot make a decision is like Shakespearean character. To be or not to be. To be or not to be. He never answered the question. Did he? Did that Shakespearean character ever answer it? No, he did not. And Shakespeare is dead and still that question hasn't been answered. Attainments in adaptive behavior means there's decision making. There's the ability of the child to be able to adapt to different situations the child finds himself in. Okay, heredity is important. Heredity. Don't go home and say, yung anak natin, heredity palang gift. Akin yan. Akin yan. And don't ever say that, because I was the one who got pregnant, he got all of my brains. It's not also true. And then, it is developmental. It's developmental because it can start at a very young age. So you have a child who can sing very, very beautiful and get area tune, and then the child grows up being a singer. But nurturing is very crucial because the environmental influences correlates of the ability or the talent. Talent in Europe is defined as any interest or a very, very slight talent that may be there. Like I know that I used to love singing, but because probably my mom thought I was spoken like a frog, she did not take it seriously even if I can carry a tune and play the piano. And she said, "Doktor ka na nga lang." And so I said, what if I had been taught to sing? I could have been a singer. And that is what my hidden dream is. So this emphasizes the necessity for nurture. And because of that, it includes present, what you see, what you observe, and potential capacity. Because what you observe is probably just an inch, or not even an inch, of what your child can potentially do. Okay? Documentation. You said that you want to do something? Documentation. Now you said you collect? Okay, that's good. You have started. Now do not be, you have to choose, huh? You have to choose. We'll talk about that. So documentation would mean that you collect the child's work at various ages. You don't only collect them now, and then when they're busy and you're busy, you forget about it. You collect. And I know some people whose mothers collect everything from the moment they were born until the child grew up as an adult. It includes interpretation and comments written with the teacher, transcriptions, video. Now we have video. And it's a tool for communication because it tells a story. It tells a story about the child. But it is not only about the child, it actually shows what the child can do. Because you can say that, I think the child is gifted, but you can show anything. So collect what you have and then see what you can do about it. Okay, now the key persons are teachers, because they're your partners, and the nurturer, and the guides. But your role is very crucial because you're the very first one who sees the child. I'm very fond of a story I tell about a baby who I saw she was just a week old at the nursery. And she was wrapped so comfortably. And then all of a sudden, I saw one hand come out. And then he started doing that. Then he did it. Then he did it. He turned over, 1 week old. Isn't that a motor skill at 1 week old? Nobody turns like that. So this child has grown up to be really gifted, except that he did not develop his motor skills. He is into the motor in piano, yes, but the motor in terms of being an athlete, which his mother thought he could be, that did not develop. Now, the role of the parents is so important because you're the best judges of your child's potential, even better than the teachers who see them at a much later age. Okay? So documentation, if you don't just collect, but documentation leads to planning. What do I see in my child? And what can I do with my child? What can I do for my child also? Both in school, when the child goes to school, or even outside, or even at home. Okay? These are the steps. Observing, this is not the one. Okay, never mind. Observing and collecting, selecting, reflecting, planning, this is the one. Observing means you watch. You watch. You know, you practice. You can even practice this with your spouse. Just look, but don't make it obvious that you're observing. It's like, what will you do next? What will you do next? Very unobtrusive way of observing. Practice with your spouse. And then after you observe, and after you watch your child doing something, you collect. So observing or observation and collection. You collect. But what do you collect? You select. You just don't keep everything. You have boxes and boxes and boxes. If you have space, okay, well and good. So you select, what do I keep? What will show that my child is really gifted in a particular area? You have the multiple intelligences of Gardner. See, you have that. But sometimes they don't show, they don't become evident at a very young age. But it's very evident to be the talents and the interests. And these are the things that to develop because they can become gifts. Because talent, even the slightest interest and talent, the slightest, according to Dr. Daniel, practice and practice, that's nurturing. You help your child practice and you nurture it, and it becomes a gift. And probably a child like me, who sings like a frog, will eventually fill up the whole Araneta Coliseum when I give a concert. Then reflecting, what does this show you? Because you collect. Now, what does this show you? What can you conclude about your child? A child's personality, your child's interest, your child's ability. What are the reflections that you have? And those reflections become basis of planning. But the planning is not, sige, wake up at 6, we go to tutor 1 at 7, tutor 2 at 8, tutor 3 at 9. That is not the way that you plan. You plan for whatever is best, but you give your child a chance to play. Because play is at the best for the child, and it is during playtime that you're able to find a lot of the other gifts that you probably don't notice when you are trying to teach the child. Okay? So planning and exhibiting. This is what you want to do. Because the documentation is supposed to be exhibited, not for you to be yabang, like, hey, every day I carry the documents for my child, and I show everybody, you want to see the documents my gifted child. It's not that. It's exhibiting to the people who matter, the teachers, the counselors, the psychologists, and people who can help you develop the child. So those are the steps, okay? Portfolio is a form of documentation. This is what you can do immediately. They are authentic and ongoing assessment tools. Can you imagine? These are tools which even the developmental pediatricians as well as the psychologists will eventually use in formalizing the assessment. Collection of products and observations about the student. Compilation of child's progress. It's a compilation. So at various ages, you will have them. They can offer evidences of advanced development, especially in non-academic, non-traditional domains. Because you see the entire child in the portfolio that you prepare. Okay? It provides the principals, teachers with concrete evidence needed to design an appropriate academic program. So they need it. Now, information presented in a visual way of actual evidences of the potentially gifted child's development abilities, interests, and talents. This is very interesting to do. But you remember that there are also some rules here. One, It includes the basic information. How was your child born? Full term, preterm, etc., etc. Is it important? Yes. Because there can be conclusions that you can have. Now, was the child sickly? It documents evidence of growth. How did my child grow up physically? How tall was my child? How heavy was my child when he gave birth to the child? A preemie who is 8 pounds? Oh my God, preemie? Almost impossible, huh? Focuses on the child's strengths, not the deficits. What are the things that my child can do very well? And obviously, a strength of the child. Notes what she or he can do, not who she is. So you say, my child is good, and you document, he's good, he's praying. They say that he can recite a prayer. He can sing, he can recite, I believe, at 2 years old. See? And I have one who can do that. I have one who can do that. Includes in-school and out-of-school efforts. Emphasizes quality versus quantity. So you don't have to collect everything. Get the best quality. The child is encouraged to self-select. You help to ask your child, what do you want us to keep? What do you want us to show? If your teacher wants to know what you're good at, help the child to select the things that he is proud of having done. Okay? These are the things that you can collect. And I know that you have them. Now, whenever your child's teacher says something about your child, ask that it be put in writing. And you can give that as an anecdotal record. It's very, very good and very, very helpful. Okay? Here. These are the developmental milestones. The physical, large and motor skills. Like my child have, I have a 1-year-old child who can squat for so long. It's hard to squat. That child cannot squat long. Until she can squat, she's a dancer. God, goodness, that girl is physical milestones are really good. The large motor skills, see? And then the fine motor skills. Alright? Painting, etc. Cognitive milestones, ability to think, learn, and solve problems. So, I was watching a child yesterday, because I didn't work yesterday, and then he came out, and he wanted to take a bath, and he turned on the faucet, but the faucet was too low, so he couldn't go in. Then he saw the planggana of his Lola. So he got the planggana, he collected the water, and he had a swimming pool. See, that's a very small child. How old is he? He's going to be 3 next month. But he keeps running around, and I always steal him, and I kidnap him to my house. Social and emotional milestone. Emotions. Why am I shouting? Because I'm angry. Why am I angry? What am I angry at? If the child doesn't have the vocabulary yet for the feeling, give the feelings, give the vocabulary. That means that you're angry. So that he will also understand just exactly what the feelings are. Now, communication milestones. This is the most obvious. A child speaks at 2. I have a child was reading at 4 and was not taught. And it's not the reading that the child with Asperger's syndrome has. It's the kind of reading where there is comprehension. Because a child can be hyperlexia, can read anything, even the most difficult words, but doesn't understand. But you have a child here who can read very well and understand your feelings. Okay? This is the most evident. As well as the motor skills. Okay? Then you have portfolio, developmental milestones. So take a look at it. When did you update it? You updated this on this date, and my child was 3.5, or grade level, if the child is in school already. What are the strengths? What did you see? Did you see motor, gross motor? Did you see fine motor? Did you see cognitive? Like, wow, he can understand the word very well. Or you have a speller. He can spell at an early age. Okay? So the evidence says, these are what you collect. Then the age when you observed it, and then the developmental needs and the comments. Why do you have developmental needs? For example, a child can draw very well, can hold a pencil very well, very good fine motor grip. But then again, you see that the drawing is still very incomplete. So is that a developmental need? If you have a child who can use and write very well like this, tripod grip, that's advanced. Now, the drawing is very awful. Ask, what is this? And he says, that's tao, mama, mommy. Oh, that's good. Even if it doesn't look like a tao. At least he has the concept. What is this? Oh, that's his arms. Those are his arms. Okay, that's a point. Because don't expect a 2-year-old to be able to do the human body the way that a medical student would do in anatomy. No. But then these are indicators, okay? And then the comments, what do you want to do? What do you want to expose the child to? So these are portfolios. And if you do the portfolio, the collection that you have, classify them. So from the collections that you have, try to do the observation, the selection, etc., etc. Use the steps. And the steps can help you finally come up with a plan. Because at the end of the day, what you do is to have a plan to further develop what your child has initially shown to be a possible gift. And if it is a talent, the talent needs to be practiced, it becomes a gift. And if it is a cognitive or academic gift, then it still needs to be nurtured. So whatever you have, you nurture. And you do not torture by being a, helicopter parent. So you fly away at every time for every appointment. Okay? So giftedness is developmental. So you're very lucky if you notice a gift in your child. It is developmental. It is something that you have to nurture. If there's no nurture, there's no development, it may not show. If there is no nurture, it doesn't die, but it will not develop. Okay? Now the question about is every child gifted? Every child may have an interest. When you talk about giftedness, you talk about a level. You talk about a comparison. This is what I don't like in working with the gifted, but you have to be able to compare because giftedness has to, if you take a look at the normal curve, they would be on the right side. The abilities, the interests, and all. If they are more on the left side, they can still be gifted, but they're quite exceptional, but definitely they may not be. But if you notice that there is something, you develop it, nurture it. Because if you just overlook it, then you will waste it. Or the child will waste it, okay? So not every child would be gifted, but they all have a gift. They have a gift of their parents, they have a gift of being able to go to school, those are gifts. But being gifted means a certain level and a certain definition. Whatever definition you want to use, as long as you're consistent with it, then this would be the basis for the documentation that you will have, okay? So let me end by saying this. Nurturing the gift of the country, a collaborative effort. It is a collaborative effort. But please remember that if you have a gifted child or potentially gifted child, you just don't develop the child for the child himself or herself, just for the family so that you'll have a trophy. You develop it so that the gifted is able to give back. And to me, the real gifted is one who can give back. And that's what we need in the Philippines. So thank you very much for listening.